This young boy, he's 10 years old, and his pervert mother calls him the youngest transgender model in the world, and he goes by the name Noella. I don't know what his real name is. So the father of this boy has just come out and said a really heartbreaking thing. He said, I have no say in this child's life. So Noella, whatever his real name is, has a younger brother named Levi. They were born to Dee McCord and Timothy McCord. And then Dee and Timothy divorced. And Dee, I guess, became a lesbian or something, but now Dee and Dee's lesbian partner, they identify as not women or as men, or I don't know. They're obviously very confused people, and they're forcing their sexual confusion and perversions on this poor little kid. And now they're convincing the little kid to be a girl and to strut around for other perverts on the red carpet. And this poor father has no say in his life. He says, I have no say in it. She's not my kid anymore. And this is really interesting, that even the father here is buying into this transgender thing. But he's saying, I'll use the she and I'm trying, but I just want to have some, maybe not, he shouldn't be modeling or she shouldn't be modeling or whatever. Now, it's very difficult to know what happened in this breakup. The woman is alleging some kind of abuse, but again, this woman is a complete lunatic, so I don't believe a word that she says. And what the father says is, I was given the opportunity to step back and let Dee's partner adopt the kids, and I did that in the hopes that they would not have all the stress that this is causing in their lives. But obviously it's causing a whole lot more stress because of these people now raising this poor kid. The issue here is not men's rights or fathers' rights. The issue is not even transgenderism. That's a kind of symptom of this. The issue is divorce. The fact that a divorce could happen is the cause of all of these problems. The fact that we have a no-fault divorce culture here and have for 50 years. Although in New York, they didn't have no-fault divorce on the books until about 10 or 13 years ago. But that's what's causing this. The problems run so much deeper. They've been building for so long. And now we see the extreme expression of it in a 10-year-old strutting down in stiletto heels, for twerking around for perverts. But the earliest manifestation of this began in the 1960s and the 1970s. And some people still haven't woken up out of the age of Aquarius, but the young people, the people who are fired up, they have, and they realize the problems are not just going to be fixed by having some conciliation with transgenderism. We've got to rip this stuff out, root and branch. Right now, go to ZipRecruiter.com/Knowles. Hiring is challenging, especially right now when you've got so much on your plate. Luckily, there's one place you can go where hiring is simple, fast, and smart, a place where growing businesses connect with qualified candidates. That place is ZipRecruiter.com/Knowles. ZipRecruiter uses its powerful matching technology to find and match the right candidates up with your job. You can easily review those recommended candidates and invite your top choices to apply. ZipRecruiter is so effective that 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's why ZipRecruiter is the #1 rated hiring site based on G2 satisfaction ratings as of January 1st, 2022. Right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. Our listeners can go to ZipRecruiter.com/Knowles. That is ZipRecruiter.com/KNOWLES, just like Beyonce. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Horrifying scene from a Charlotte Pride Parade. The Pride Parades, they're family-friendly events. They're really wonderful. They deserve our public funding. They need space in the public square because it's all about love. Love is love and acceptance, and they're really, really great, right? Except we all know that none of that is true, and we have video evidence of it. There's a poor little kid who was brought up onto a stripper pole with some half-naked, I think, woman, and he was riding on her bare midriff and lower parts, and she was kind of shaking on the pole, showing this poor little kid how to strut for all of the other perverts in the audience. This wasn't even really the craziest thing at this Pride Parade. There's a video of all of these, I think a number of them are women, just jiggling, and they're all not half naked. They're all probably 95% naked. Take a look. We've got to blur out most of this stuff. This is what we're being told is family friendly, and it's just a sex show. That's all it really is, and that's all really that it has ever been. I'm reminded of a line from Jason Whitlock. You know Jason Whitlock over at The Blaze? I loved this line. I was on a show with him one time. I wish I had the clip. We were talking about marriage and what to do about marriage. And Jason Whitlock was explaining why redefining marriage is such a dumb idea. And I think this advice applies to the pride parades and all the rest of it. He said, you know, not everything is for everyone. When I was a young man, I was a little more promiscuous, and my friends and I would go to strip clubs. I didn't get married because that wasn't for me. Because if you're the kind of guy who's going to strip clubs, you can't simultaneously be the guy that's getting married. Not everything is for everyone. And that's true. That's such a good point. There's a lot of wisdom there from Jason Whitlock. Pride parades are not for children. Obviously, they're filled with leather daddies and all sorts of sexually deviant people performing sexually deviant acts in public. Those are obviously not for kids. And if you talk to any of the people who aren't so twisted in their head, who aren't completely lost, and you said, hey, do you think a 10-year-old should be at this thing? They would probably admit, no, it's probably not really appropriate. But we cannot, in public life, we cannot simply tolerate things. This is one of the weaknesses of liberalism, the modern kind and the classical kind. One of the weaknesses of liberalism is that it pretends that the public square is neutral and we can all just tolerate everything and it won't affect our public life, and that's not true. People have noticed that we've gone from moral opprobrium for the weird sex stuff to then for about 5 minutes we tolerated it, and then instantly it became mandatory celebration. It's not just, hey, tolerate me, hey, include me. Now it's you have to celebrate me. You have to put the pride flag on your shirt. You need to put the special square on social media. You've got to actively celebrate it. And that's because that's how politics works. In order to have a republic, which republic comes from res publica, like the stuff we've got in common, then we've got to have those things in common, and we've got to have sacred things in common. We've got to exalt certain things. We've got to cast down other things. We have to have taboos that are very high, taboos that are very low and disgusting. And we have to come to some agreement on that. The pride parades are sick and disturbing, and they should be illegal everywhere. And because there's no way to have the pride parade on Main Street and say that the kids aren't allowed to come. Because when you do that, then you're admitting that they're obscene and perverted. And when you admit that, then you've undercut your argument for having them on Main Street, right in the public square. So there's not going to be some squishy, weak, lukewarm middle ground here, okay? And when you talk to the young people, I talked to a member of Congress not all that long ago, and I couldn't believe how deluded he was on this question. He said, you know, he's a very good member of Congress. I really like the guy. But he said, you know, I just assume young people are kind of more libertarian. That's what I assume. I don't think that's true. The young people that I talk to are way more hardcore. They have way more moral clarity and way more courage than the kind of boomer conservatives who are largely just about cut my taxes and leave me alone. Because they see it, because they realize the consequences of it. And we didn't have to deal with the immediate consequences during the age of Aquarius. We certainly do now. So glad you liked that clip. Now, you got to subscribe. I appreciate it. I'm glad we hit 1 million subscribers. I want to hit 1 quadrillion. Ring that bell, get the notifications. We'll see you next time.